Hello, 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 everybody. Good evening. Thank you, those of you that get to join me live, and thank you, those of you that are taking the time to join me on a replay. It is Sunday evening. It's been a weird day weather-wise today. We've had glorious sunshine. I had my shorts on this morning. Then we had rain, and now I'm sitting in my conservatory and the sun's shining. And it's lovely. I've had a great day. So as I say, thank you if you get a chance to join me live today. Just a couple of bits of housekeeping first of all. I've got a lot I want to say to you today, and I want to make sure that I say it. I don't want to get distracted. So I have got some notes that if you see me kind of looking down, I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I cover everything and don't waffle. The other thing is I am at home, and I have my door open to my garden, so if you hear something that sounds like a tiny little pixie tap dancing, that's my dog running in and out. And she may actually try to jump up and join us as well. So if you see two little ears poking up at the bottom of the screen, that'll be Gracie. If we're really lucky, the cat might make an appearance, but that's less likely. So yes, welcome to my first ever Facebook Live for a new view, proper Facebook Live. I have done a kind of a little bit of research using Facebook Live, but it's the first time I've done it properly for a new view, and I'm both excited and nervous at the same time. So first of all, let me introduce myself, because not everybody knows who I am. Strangely enough, I don't know how people don't know who I am, but not everybody will. I'm Steph Aduse, and I coach women in middle to senior leadership roles who are too busy with competing demands at work and at home. They're trying to do it all, and they're focusing on everybody but themselves. They feel like they're constantly battling. They fear that they're not good enough and that they're going to be found out. And they are always busy, and they never have enough time to do what they need. So with compassion, with honesty, and I hope with a sprinkling of humour, I support them to take back control and step into being a high value leader who is both competent and confident, by focusing on the things that really make a difference to create a high quality life. Simple, eh? Really simple. No. So one of the things that I've found is when I'm coaching, and actually in my own personal experience, is that the people that I coach, women in leadership in particular, have a range of different experiences, but some of them are very much in common. And one of those is about just being too busy. And what I'd like to do this evening is just tell you a little bit about my story. I am a chief executive at the moment. I've been in lots of senior leadership roles in big and small organisations, and this is an area where I can really identify with. So I really just want to tell you about my experiences. So most of my management and leadership experience has been in the NHS. And the issue started really with what I would call my first proper management role, my first role managing staff anyway. I was a hospital manager, and it was a hospital that generally had a long hours culture for its management staff. My boss was somebody who would leave work at 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night on a regular basis, and it was kind of the unspoken rule that you would do exactly the same thing. And the other thing was that I didn't just have one role, I had multiple roles, and I'm sure some of you can completely understand that. You're probably in a similar position yourself, where you don't just get to do one thing, you're given 6 or 7 different departments to manage in one. And because it was a new role for me, because I wanted to prove myself as a manager, I immediately bought into that. You've got to show up, you've got to stay there, you've got to be working. When you go home, you work some more. And that's what I did. So that was my first proper management role. And as I moved through into different organisations, I found I took that with me. I was always trying to prove that I could do this, that I was up to the job. And it especially hit home after I became a mother. So I came back from work as a new mother and went into a directorate manager role, which was quite a demanding senior role. And I was determined to show that being a mother didn't mean that I wasn't effective anymore. It didn't mean I wasn't committed anymore. I was determined to show that just because I had a young child at home didn't mean that I was going to be less present at work. And what I would do was, I was, bless her, my daughter was the last child to be picked up at the nursery. Sometimes I had to ask my mum to go and pick her up, and I would pick her up from my mum's house because I was running late. I would pick my daughter up, we'd go and do family things, and then she'd go off to bed and I would start working again because I had to, because I had so much that had to be done. I then moved on to a different role and the problem changed a little bit. So at that point I was having relationship problems. You're probably thinking, I'm not surprised if you work that much, but actually it wasn't completely to do with the amount that I was working. But yeah, I was having relationship problems that eventually ended in divorce. And I loved what I was doing. I just had an absolute blast at work. So I hid at work and I threw myself completely into work, into the job. I was in a very senior role by this point, and I was going to make sure I was available. It was a very male-dominated environment. And I just felt like I've got to prove that I have a right to be here. And my way of doing that was to be more there than anybody else. And even when I wasn't there, I was there. So, for example, I would take some time off work. We very rarely went away on holidays, but I'd take some time off work and there'd be an important meeting in the middle of my week off from work. So I would just take my daughter into work and we would sit and she would draw on the whiteboard whilst I had a meeting. And that was just what I did. That was the way I dealt with things. That was me being the senior leader that I felt I needed to be. And it added to that was the fact that I was told that I was invaluable. And this has happened to me a couple of times where, and I'm not bragging here, and I'll explain why in a second, but people have said in an organisation, oh God, Steph, we couldn't do this without you. You know, the whole thing would fall apart if it wasn't for you. And when you've got that real desire to be the best you can possibly be, that is like a drug. Oh my God. It was like, come on, give me some more. I am critical to this. I am pivotal to all of this. And it was fantastic. But as well as it being this fantastic kind of boost to my ego, it was also a really, really heavy mantle that just sat on me and made me feel like I had to be there. That the place would fall apart without me. And of course it wouldn't. No organisation, I don't care how fantastic you are, unless it's your own business and then it's slightly different, but no big organisation is going to fall apart because one person isn't there. But I believed that because I wanted to believe it. And I owned it and I felt it. And that was tough. That was really, really tough. And what all of this did was it built on my character. So my character is that I like to do stuff for other people. In one of my blogs, I've talked about the 4 tendencies. I don't know if you can hear my little dog wants to jump up. Come on then. So the 4 tendencies are sort of the way that you react to expectations. And I was constantly being told that I was that I was so critical and that I could do this and only I could do this. And oh, Steph, can you do that? And Steph, it'd be great if you can do this. That built on my obliger tendency. This is Gracie, by the way. Hello, Gracie. So yeah, it just built on my character. And what that then did was it became a habit. It became a habit that I would do for other people. That's all I did. I did for other people all the time. And things that were for me, like getting a bit of time for myself, they came secondary. It was all about helping other people. So you can probably imagine what then happened. I was stressed. And over the course of, probably about this time last year, I was so stressed that then tipped over into anxiety. And I would leave a meeting. I would go and get my car to drive to the other meeting. I'd have a quick cry. I'd pull myself together I'd drive to the next meeting, I'd go in, I'd function perfectly well in the meeting, I'd come out, I'd get in the car, I'd have a bit of a panic attack, pull myself together, go off to the next meeting. And that was my life. I'd come home, I'd sit in the car on the drive before I came in because I had to pull myself together again. And that was just what it got to. I started to hide away at home. So I stopped going along and doing things that I really enjoyed, because it was just too much. I was completely overwhelmed. It was too much for me. And it was easier to stop doing that stuff than it was to stop doing the stuff like work. That was just not possible for me. I had to do that. But if you speak to most of the people that I work with, they probably didn't realise where I was. They may have known that I was busy and I was stressed, but not to the extent that I was, because I was swan-like. I was functioning well, or so I thought. And all the while, my insides and my little legs were going for everything that they could. And what really hit me was when I realised that I was doing so much that some of the really important stuff just wasn't getting done, or it wasn't being done well. And that really hit to my identity, because I take great pride in the work that I do and how I do it. So the fact that I wasn't doing it well really was a problem for me. Does this chime with anybody out there? Give me some hearts or thumbs up or whatever it is if it does, and let me know that this is kind of the type of experiences that you've had. So, I tried conventional time management tools, and I'm not here to slate conventional time management tools. They are great and they work. They work if you can manage your time. The problem was I was massively overcommitted, and I think this is something that certainly the clients I work with really understand. It's not that they can't manage their time, it's that they haven't got any time. And when I had time management tools, I couldn't spare the time to use them properly because I was just too busy. And I also had people saying, "Oh God, Steph, you're like Wonder Woman." And you know what? Again, that fed my ego, because I had my pants on top of my tights and I was Wonder Woman, and that was fantastic. But also, again, it was that mantle. I'm Wonder Woman. I've got to do this all. I've got to be great. I've got to be on point all the time. And as I say, I wasn't, because I wasn't doing things as well as I knew I could. So yeah, it was tough. It got really, really tough. And I think a couple of times over the last 5 years, but particularly last year, I was so buried that I didn't know what to do. But I am bringing you some good news, because there is another way. And